Have you ever really thought about the uterus? For many, it's just a word we heard in a biology class, a part of the body associated with periods and pregnancy. But the truth is, the uterus is one of the most incredible, dynamic, and frankly, mind-blowing organs in the human body. It's a powerhouse, a shapeshifter, and a source of incredible strength. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the uterus to uncover 7 amazing facts that you probably didn't learn in school. So let's get started. Fact number 1. The uterus is incredibly strong. When we say strong, we're not just talking about being tough. We're talking about muscle power that is truly off the charts. The uterus is essentially a pear-shaped muscle, or more accurately, a collection of some of the strongest muscles in the entire human body. During childbirth, these muscles contract with immense force to help guide a baby into the world. Think about the most intense workout you can imagine. The force exerted by the uterus during a single contraction can be more powerful than the bicep of a well-trained athlete. This strength isn't just for childbirth. The uterus contracts on a much smaller scale every single month to shed its lining, which is what causes menstrual cramps. So, those cramps are a monthly reminder of the sheer power housed within the pelvic region. Now for our second surprising fact, the uterus can grow, and I mean really grow. A non-pregnant uterus is relatively small, typically about the size of a small pear or a clenched fist, and it weighs only a couple of ounces. It sits low in the pelvis, tucked away and unassuming. But during pregnancy, it undergoes one of the most dramatic transformations of any organ. It doesn't just stretch. It grows, a process called hypertrophy, where the individual muscle cells expand in size. By the end of a full-term pregnancy, the uterus can expand to the size of a watermelon. It can grow up to 500 times its original size and reach all the way up to the rib cage, pushing other organs aside to make room. That's like a small balloon expanding to the size of a beach ball. After delivery, it performs another amazing feat. Through a process called involution, it begins to shrink back down. Within about 6 weeks, it returns to nearly its pre-pregnancy size and location. This incredible elasticity and ability to transform is truly unique. Let's move on to fact number 3, something that might change how you think about periods. The uterine lining is a master of regeneration. The inner layer of the uterus is called the endometrium. This isn't just a static layer of tissue. It's a highly dynamic and responsive environment that completely rebuilds itself every single month. Following a period, the endometrium is very thin. But under the influence of hormones like estrogen, it begins to thicken, developing a rich supply of blood vessels and glands to prepare a welcoming home for a potential embryo. If pregnancy doesn't occur, hormone levels drop, and the body sheds this newly built lining, resulting in a period. Then, the cycle starts all over again. The endometrium is one of the only tissues in the adult human body that goes through this monthly cycle of growth, breakdown, and complete regeneration without scarring. Think about it. If you got a cut on your arm, it would heal with a scar. But the uterus performs this complex process of shedding and rebuilding its entire lining dozens, even hundreds of times over a lifetime, and it does so flawlessly each time. It's a marvel of biological engineering. Fact number 4 is a bit of a medical mystery that science is still exploring. The uterus might have a role in memory and cognitive function. For a long time, the uterus was seen as an organ with a singular purpose related to reproduction. However, recent scientific research, particularly studies involving animals, has started to challenge this narrow view. Some studies have suggested a potential link between the uterus and the brain. The idea is that there might be a uterine-brain axis, a communication pathway similar to the well-known gut-brain axis. Research has shown that in some animal models, removing the uterus, even when the ovaries are left intact, can have an impact on cognitive functions like spatial memory. The exact mechanism isn't fully understood, but it hints that the uterus might have hormonal or neural connections to the brain that we are only just beginning to appreciate. This is a cutting-edge area of research, and it opens up a whole new way of thinking about the uterus, suggesting its influence might extend far beyond the pelvis, potentially affecting how we think and remember. Ready for number 5? This one is about its position. A uterus isn't always straight up and down. In anatomy textbooks, the uterus is often shown in a neat, upright, slightly forward-leaning position over the bladder. This is called an anteverted uterus, and it's the most common orientation. However, a significant number of people have a uterus that is tilted or tipped in a different direction. For about 1 in 5 individuals, the uterus is retroverted, meaning it tilts backward toward the spine instead of forward. This is simply a normal anatomical variation, like having different colored eyes or being left-handed. It's not an abnormality or a medical problem. For the vast majority, a tilted uterus causes absolutely no symptoms and has no impact on fertility or pregnancy. It's a surprising fact because we often assume our internal anatomy is standardized. But like so many things in the human body, there's a wide range of what's considered normal, and the position of the uterus is a perfect example of this beautiful diversity. Fact number 6 brings us into the world of shared biology. Humans are not the only ones with a uterus, but the type of uterus we have is somewhat special. Different mammals have different types of uteruses designed to suit their reproductive strategies. For example, animals that typically have large litters, like cats or pigs, have what's called a bicornuate uterus, which has 2 large horns to accommodate multiple embryos. Humans, on the other hand, have a simplex uterus, which is a single pear-shaped chamber. This design is ideal for gestating a single large baby or occasionally twins. This single chamber design is relatively rare in the animal kingdom and is shared mostly with other primates. It reflects our evolutionary path, which has favored quality over quantity, investing a huge amount of energy into a single, highly developed offspring at a time. So the very shape of our uterus tells a story about our evolution as a species. And finally, fact number 7. The uterus isn't always silent. It communicates. We know the uterus contracts during menstruation and childbirth, but it's also active at other times. Scientists have discovered that the uterus experiences subtle waves of contractions throughout the entire menstrual cycle. These uterine waves, or peristalsis, are usually too gentle for us to feel. They change in direction and intensity depending on the time of the month. Around the time of ovulation, the waves seem to move from the cervix up toward the fallopian tubes. Researchers believe this motion might actually help transport sperm in the right direction, increasing the chances of fertilization. Later in the cycle, the waves become less organized. It's a subtle but sophisticated form of communication and action, a quiet dance happening inside the body, all orchestrated by hormones. It shows that the uterus is never truly dormant. It's always active, always preparing, and always communicating in its own unique muscular language. From its incredible strength and ability to grow, to its regenerative powers and potential links to the brain, the uterus is so much more than a simple organ. It's a dynamic, intelligent, and powerful part of the human body that deserves our awe and respect. We've only scratched the surface today, but hopefully, these facts have given you a new appreciation for this amazing organ. Thank you for joining us on this journey inside the human body. To learn more and continue the conversation, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We are Sex Education Repo.